preview!
Oh boy, 12 power. Let's see if you can handle this. Hey everyone, welcome to Commander Pop Culture. If you like the video, be sure to subscribe so you'll be notified of future content. Stick around to the end, I'll go over the deck as well. Right now I'm playing Esior and Ishai, my bird partner commanders. I call this deck Garfield's Air Force budget. Richard Garfield himself, the creator of Magic, once said,
my intuition is that having a $20 card is about right.
So that's the budget I'm working with. Not a single card in my deck is over $20, and this is a budget lobby. So we'll see how that goes. I think in paper the total value is like 420 bucks. So I mean that's still pretty expensive for a commander deck, but I don't know. People in the comments, you could tell me if that's unreasonable or not. The reason why I call this the Air Force budget deck is it's blue and white, and if you know the Air Force symbol, it's also blue and white. Let's see, I want to get a land so I can play a Mother of Runes. I kept this hand because I got 2 mana rocks in my hand, and I got some sweet card advantage with Fall from Favor, which is a Monarch card. It taps a creature down, does it untap. Gives me the Monarch. I get a draw step trigger and on end step. I also have Future Sight, which is a bomb OG enchantment that lets you play cards off the top of your library, including lands. Might be expensive costing, but it's well worth the price. And it's dirt cheap. It's like $1 to play. So, and that's in paper. I think it's a steal. Let's look at our opponents. I'm playing against Anowon, the rogue tribal deck. This green creature, which I think is all about making tokens. For 3 mana and tapping, he makes a colorless servo. For 5 mana, he creates an XX construct where X is equal to the number of creatures you control. So basically the Karn construct kind of theme. And against a wizard deck, that Kaza lets you reduce the mana cost of things. I'll play the Azorius Signet now. This is kind of nice. Opening a couple of turns. Mother of Runes, if you don't know, it has the ability to tap to give any target creature protection of a color of my choice till end of turn. I think if you're a new player, that kind of sounds like Scroll a little bit, only the activation cost is much nicer, and that I only have to tap my Mother of Runes to do the job. And one player got a Soul Ring. It's pretty nice. By the way, if you're new to the channel, never seen anything, I'm not going to talk about land and mana producing rock that someone plays. Just doesn't seem like it's value added for the person watching. Doesn't seem very entertaining. But I'll most definitely talk about my turns and my thought processes behind them. I'll definitely talk about other people's turns if they do something quite significant that I have to play around. If it seems like I'm jumping from cuts, it's for a reason. Don't worry about it. You're not missing anything if I jump cut. The whole purpose of my deck, I get my Ishai down, which Ishai is like Joe Biden of the deck. And Esior is my Kamala Harris, the VP.
No.
Not that I think government officials have bird brains, but I think that's a funny joke. Nor am I a politician or care for politics, but it's just a loose simile or metaphor. Ooh, I missed a land drop. That kind of sucks. I guess we're not doing my commander. Let's play Mind Stone, and I guess I'll play Esior. Ishai will come down next turn. Got sidetracked by talking about my little metaphors. But purpose of getting Ishai out, I do commander lethal damage to people because every time someone casts a spell, it grows bigger. Gets a +1/+1 counter, and it already has flying. It's nice evasion. It'll be a lethal threat pretty much with 1 or 2 revolutions of the table because everyone casts spells. And in commander, your goal is to cast as many as you can. So don't be surprised if Ishai gets up to be like a 10-10 turn 5. The flavor of the deck is I do everything in my power to keep Mr. Biden alive with spells like Blacksmith's Skill, and I have some light counter magic in here. Oh, we're losing a player. That's too bad. I've been not having the best of games on MTGO lately. Mr. Biden's not going to grow as fast because there's obviously 1 less player in the game now, but it's still a factor. It's kind of like a, how would I describe it? The more spells you cast, the likelihood you're going to kill yourself kind of a thing. It's almost like Laissa the Dusk Shadow, but anyways, I'm punishing people for playing their deck essentially, and I kind of like that kind of theme in general. I got kind of lucky because it looks like the mono green player and the Izzet player also miss land drops. So we're all on relatively even footing with me having a slight lead. I like Treasure Keeper. It's a cool card. It's a death trigger that lets you cascade for something that costs 3 or less. Probably one of my pet cards. I think on my turn, I'm going to cast Future Sight. More card advantage sounds dope. Maybe I'll get lucky and rip a land off the top, keep the deck humming. Everyone's tapped down, and we are on a budget table, so I don't know if I should be concerned. I probably shouldn't be concerned about a free counter. I was hoping for a land to be on top. It's okay, I got a land in hand. Miss Kamala Harris will do good to block. She has the nice ability of making my commanders cost 3 more to target, so it's effectively ward 3 for both of them, which is nice. It makes efficient removal spell inefficient, and it makes inefficient removal spells god-awful. This feels a little fishy. I could block 2 damage, but it's a colorless creature, so I'm kind of worried if he gets a pump spell, he could pump it to kill my Esior, and 2 damage is not a big deal to warrant me blocking. So I'll just let it happen. My favorite protection spells in this deck, though, are definitely phasing out kind of variety, because it lets me dodge absolutely everything, including edict effects like Living Death, and lets me dodge mass exiling spells like Merciless Eviction or Farewell. But Blacksmith skill does just fine too. Indestructible and hexproof is pretty dope. If for some reason people are willing to pay the extra mana with Esior's ability, I have that as a backup. Or if they get a board wipe, then I have Blacksmith skill as a backup. I'm in a pretty good position though, feeling quite confident. Let's just go to combat. Probably gonna attack the green player here. He'll probably just block with his modular flying creature. That's okay. Let's just get it off the table. My fall from favor will be really handy against the wizard player, then I could prevent him from being able to reduce the cost of instants and sorcery spells. And I wanted to go to combat first because I want to cast this Chart of Course to draw 2 cards without having to discard. Got a land off the top. Break down another land, unfortunately, but that's okay. I don't live in a perfect world. I got plenty of action in my hand. Could always activate Bonder's Enclave to draw more cards too. If I was to activate it on my turn, the likelihood of me having enough mana to cast another spell off the top of my library was unlikely. I'd rather just leave the mana up. At the latest, I can use Bonder's Enclave on the wizard player's turn. I'd like to have mana up for this Guardian of Faith should the worst possible scenario happen. Mr. Biden's up to a 7/7. I wanted to build a budget deck mostly because I'm going to Command Fest in Seattle and wanted to have something that could play with the lower power decks. I'll have 1 high power deck, 1 low power deck. My high power deck, I don't want to disclose the number because I don't know. I don't need the flex on anybody, but it's up there. And it's gonna be my my Mr. Wick deck, which I featured in another video. If you guys want to check it out, you can. It's Baba Yaga. It's a Golgari deck. Twin Flame targeting what? Augur or Bolus? He's looking for something sweet, but he's out of colored mana, so I'm not entirely worried. I'm pretty sure he has to sack this at his end step. Yeah, he does. Feel like the wizard players might be playing a little too cautiously. Dang, I keep hitting more lands. Not that exciting. Like I said, I'm gonna probably do fall from favor here. Get this tapped down. I forgot to activate my Bonder's Enclave. It's okay. I clearly have enough lands in hand. Can afford to make mistakes. I don't make very many of them, but I think when I play online in particular, I'm just antsy to do my turn, do better about fighting that. I also didn't want to discard a hand size, so I was more incentivized to cast that now instead of later. Don't mind if I do. More land. I think I'll just discard the island. Believe it or not, Marsh Flats and Arid Mesa are under 20 bucks. Unfortunately, Flooded Strand is not. I don't have access to it. And for those of you who don't know, I was actually in the Air Force for 8 years. I was a medic. Sometimes I miss it. Most times I don't. I've been pursuing a nursing career and I graduated, and I'm going to be taking my boards exam here in 3 weeks. So everyone wish me the best. I'm a man of many hats. I got a lot of things going on in my life. That's probably why I don't put out as many videos as I would hope for. I max put out 2 videos a week. Yeah, these are all colorless, so I don't get any benefit for blocking. I guess I've incentivized the wizard player to kill the green player and get the monarch. That individual has to be the one that gets the monarch in order for his creature to untap. And it's nice because even if he gets it back, he has to hold on to Monarch for an entire revolution of the table. It's really brutal. If people aren't running Fall from Favor, I should. It was breaking Pauper for the longest time for this reason of that I described. Let's play Winged Words. I keep bricking a land so well. I've gotten so much value out of this future site, I guess. Could be worse. Now I could finish. I don't think any of this stuff is flying, so I could finish off the green player here. Now I got more fodder for dig through time. The wizard player is a little upset about what's going on here because he finds my strategy a little unfair. It is a relatively easy thing. They're killing themselves by playing their decks. And it's just a passive thing. I'm not putting any effort in making my commander bigger. He's just doing that all on his own. I got the idea to build a budget version of my Truckers deck, which is one of my more recent videos. It was playing Optimus Prime, and I play 1 creature, and I just use the bolster effect to get him bigger on every turn, but Ishai gets the job done a lot faster, and having 2 colors is also more budget friendly versus 3 colors. I'm a little hesitant to play more than 2 colors in a budget deck. Boring. Sorry, man.
There must be a winner and loser.
Alrighty then. So I got the land package, which is surprisingly not that bad for being under 20 bucks per land. I'm playing some less than ideal cards like these. If they come in tapped, it's because they're fetchable. Normally, I absolutely loathe tapped lands, but because I am able to run some fetches, it's nice that I can fetch out things that are both land types, and then it enables me to cast really difficult to cast spells like Archmage's Charm and Future Sight, which was an A-lister in this deck. Despite me bricking on lands multiple times in that game, I still got to see significantly more cards than everybody else. And then I have Haymakers in the deck, like Expropriate. Most games that resolve one of those, the game ends. And then another Haymaker I'm playing in this deck is Cataclysm. Most people absolutely loathe land-based destruction kind of spells, but I don't know. I don't feel guilty about it. You could let me know in the comments below about how you feel about land destruction, but what this does in particular, it's much worse than just land destruction. Each player chooses a permanent type of an artifact, creature, an enchantment, or a land, and then you sacrifice the rest, effectively leaving me with one really big Joe Biden to deal with, and everyone's got little to no resources. So the only time I would cast it is if I have my Ishai in play. All things considered, more than likely to happen. I just win from combat damage, which is the only way my deck wins, is combat damage. I could be running more extra turn spells, but I don't do it because I think I'm already pushing the envelope with Expropriate and Cataclysm, but extra turn spells would be great in this deck because extra turns mean extra combat steps, and that reduces turns for everyone else to play the game. So if I was to build a less friendly, less budget deck, I would run all the extra turn spells in this deck, and I'd probably run a combo to loop extra turns either with Archaeomancer or the Mystic Sanctuary land, and you could do that by either looping Mystic Sanctuary from your graveyard with a Crucible Worlds, or you could do it with trade routes. I have just a sweet package in general because my synergy, my fun cards is just about protecting Ishai. There's not a terrible amount of those, so that leaves a lot of card advantage spells. There's a lot of room for card advantage, and there's a lot of room for removal. So it's a bit of a control deck. I think I have somewhere between 14 and 18 removal spells, not counting my counter magic, and then I have the same amount of card advantage spells or permanents. It's pretty nice. You will always have something to do when you have card advantage. If you have a deck that's just solely about card advantage, it's gonna probably perform well. It wins games. I highly recommend you guys to minimally not running at least 10. I encourage people to run 14 or more. Squeeze as much card advantage in your decks as you possibly can. If you could get overlap with your card advantage, like say if you can get card advantage and removal, like Archmage's Charm has that kind of flexibility, or Palace Jailer is a good example. It's removal and it's card advantage, so it increases the count in both categories by 1. Most decks you could probably find synergy with card advantage or removal. You just gotta look for it. I guess Cataclysm is a synergy piece and a control piece. I'm taking away everyone's boards and we're reducing the game state to a point where no one can interact with me, and I get to keep my commander alive. So I guess that's a dense card. If you like blue-white control, this is a pretty fun deck to play. Let's see. I also run some rubber band stuff. People in my shop hear me preach about Vigilance and Lifelink being overpowered. I think it's underappreciated because it lets you play aggressively and it lets you play defensively at the same time. As someone that practices what they preach, I try to pepper in Lifelink and Vigilance into my deck when I can. I'm in ideal colors because I'm in white, and that's something that white does really well, so I run those kinds of cards. For those of you who stayed and watching, I appreciate everyone hanging out with me and watching, and hope everyone has a great day.